What's up, everybody? Welcome to Explain Yourself. My name is Joey Galvez, and I am here with my pal, Benjamin W. Morse. Ben, how are you doing, pal?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's been a crazy week, but we're here to talk about some amazing Kickstarter books. We're going to bring in some of our really fun guests here. They got some really cool stuff that are live right now on Kickstarter. We're going to bring in Cory, Charlie, and Alan to the show, and we're going to introduce them individually and talk to them about their Kickstarters here. First off, let's start off with Cory. Cory, please introduce yourself and your book. Give the quick 30-second log line pitch, and let us know how that what you're kickstarting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Cory DLG. I make comic books. I've been doing this for a little while. We've got 7 different issues produced over time, and some different stuff. And this is what we're kickstarting now, is the hardcover graphic novel collecting what will be the first 6 issues of DMA, the Department of Metahuman Affairs. And basically, it's about a world where the Avengers Justice League basically get their butts kicked, and most of them are dead after stopping a bank robbery. And the government is kind of left behind to sort of fix it. And that's a left turn from a Marvel or a DC, where volunteer heroes kind of always show up and help and save the day. And so it kind of intertwines a lot of politics with how superheroes and saving the day and the people you have access to that can help probably aren't the best choices, because the government doesn't always have the best resources available. And so that's sort of what the story of DMA is. It's 5 guys who are so broken they probably couldn't help themselves, but now they're supposed to save the world. And the Kickstarter, we went live about 2 weeks ago. We're right kind of in the middle of it. I've never every time I launch a Kickstarter, I find out about halfway through that there's so much I didn't know that we're always learning. This is the biggest one I've done by far. Every one of my Kickstarters has been $2,000 or $3,000 to produce a single issue. This hardcover, getting the quotes and everything, the numbers are so much bigger to do a graphic novel. So we wound up at asking for $19,500, and we're nowhere near it, but we have a lot of time left, and so we're kind of trying to make sure we're in good spots by certain dates so that we can maybe make that big push at the end.
Sounds good.
It could be a little difficult, man, figuring that stuff out. Charlie, please let us know about your book and what you're kickstarting and all that good stuff.
Hey guys, Charlie McKelvey. So I've got American Yakuza on Kickstarter. We're about 55% funded in 3 days, 4 days almost. Doing really well. This is actually a nice departure for us. So this book is, it's an action adventure mystery, very not superhero, very grounded in the real world. We'll say it that way. But it's the story of a former MMA champ whose best friend and business partner was murdered. He's going to Japan to attend his funeral service, but also to figure out what's going on. And he gets quickly sucked into the Japanese underground and the Yakuza family wars and everything that's going on around it. And where there's a vacuum in leadership, power vacuum, everybody gets sucked into the action. So it's a wild, fun ride. It'll take place over 5 issues or 100 pages, and I freaking love the art that's coming out of this, and I'm having a blast, promoting and really reading this book as a fan, since I only co-wrote with Chris Moses and Anthony Stokes, but Ben here did the really dope main cover that people are talking about constantly. Yeah, dude, that thing gets so much attention on Twitter. It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
So
he's the only reason why I like your book in the first place.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just messing with you guys. I do that because I'm Charlie wanted me to help him promote that stuff, so we're promoting this thing. That's why he's here. He's only paying me to be on here, so that's the only reason he's here. And no, I'm just kidding.
I feel so loved. Let me tell you. So, hey, Cory, good luck. I think you're gonna rock it. Alan, hey man, kudos. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
No, I kid. I love you, Charlie. Alan, please introduce yourself so that I can ridicule you next.
I'm good. I'll just pass. That's fine. Yeah. Before we start, I do want to give a shout out to Charlie. I've been following his stuff for a while, and Charlie is one of the best people on the platform. Super
Right.
supportive, just an all around good guy.
So,
Yeah, just
yeah.
I'm happy to be
Way,
here with him. It's cool.
way to make me look
100%.
stupid, Alan. Thanks.
100%.
Yeah, and Joey Galvez is a grade A piece of shit. I don't know. So,
I didn't
yeah,
realize
so
everybody was going to be choosing violence today.
yeah.
This never happens. I just walked into it.
No, unfortunately, Joey knows that I love him. We've worked together on just about every campaign I've been involved in some form or matter. But no, I'm Alan Dunford, the writer creator of Pocus Hocus, Grandma Chainsaw, and Horus in Hell, and have a new smaller. This was kind of like a spontaneous campaign that we decided to go ahead and run. It was the brainchild of the artist Ruben Mosho, and he just came to me and wanted me to kind of help him write it and just do like a little campaign together. And it's kind of one of those like let's just make something and see where it goes. So yeah, the campaign we have running right now is called The Herald, and it is a supernatural western. And it just follows the story of a. It's kind of like your typical spaghetti western, right? You have your unnamed stranger, and he's on the quest for something. And we like to think that issue 1 really ramps up where we're going with all this stuff. So, but yeah, no, like I said, it's a fun supernatural western. It involves a lot of stuff that I like, occult, mythology, just all kinds of stuff.
I don't know. So even though that westerns every single time use that same trope, it's freaking fantastic and it works every single time.
Yeah, it's a trope for a reason, right?
Thank you guys for introducing yourselves in the books. We're gonna get into these and talk a little bit more about these things, and we're gonna pull these things. So let's start with Cory's page, and Ben, you go ahead and please lead the way.
All right, let's bring this one up. DMA. So first thing that caught my eye was this really cool piece of key art you have here from the cover. Really cool. It reminds me a lot of that guy that does a lot of the new X-Men stuff. Just coloring, the way the shading is, all that. It's really cool, professional looking stuff.
I'm glad you say that, dude. The artist Marco is he's doing a lot of cool stuff, and I hope to hand off the next set of issues to him. And then he's doing the backup right now. It's a 24-page backup piece, and every time he sends me a page, I'm so excited. I was like, this is so nuts, man. And then Prince is doing the colors, and he's grown leaps and bounds. We started with him in issue 3, and he's developed, and he's got game, and like he's learning as he goes. And a couple times we've had to change some stuff, but he's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I found especially when you can stay with a book for a few issues, you really learn like not just how to make the characters look good and really relearn that every time you do a new set of characters, but you really figure out some shortcuts, things that work really well with certain costumes that look cool that you can do quickly, and it becomes so much easier to get better and better and better when you can stick with it for a while. And that's one of the cool things about having. I think you said you're up to 7 issues on this.
So this will be when this is printed, there'll be 6 issues so far.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do a second book called Another Day at the Office, and we finished 4 issues of that. So
cool.
Currently in the can, I've got 7 issues between 2 books.
Wow. And so this is going to be 180 pages, so a lot of story here.
Yeah.
You kind of gave us a quick rundown of the premise, but so this is a world where the superheroes were there, but now we're gone, and these guys have to step up and kind of fill the void. Sort of thing. It looks like, kind of just from reading your page and from looking at the stuff here, I think you mentioned Claremont a few times in the description here. Oh, there it is right there. I definitely got that vibe from looking at it. Tell me a little bit more about like what comics specifically you were really inspired by and the kind of you wanted to give your twist on with DMA.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the nugget for this comes from. Is the X-Men that I grew up reading was that Claremont era. And obviously you never know how golden that moment was then at the time, but like they're in Australia, and I think it's Silvestri at that point, and then Jim Lee's right behind him. And it's like just the prettiest comic books, but these guys were going through it. Like they were just having so much real stuff happen. They felt very much like real people. And I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, modern era is poo-poo and modern comic books don't know what they're doing. But I do kind of miss that moment where yeah, we were doing big superhero stuff, but then also we were doing kind of small, intimate moments right on the very next page. I think sometimes now with the 6-issue arcs, it's like these 6 issues are going to be intimate, and then these 6 issues will be huge. And I think it's more fun when it kind of is all mashed together and right in their face. And so in the first 3 issues, what I wanted to do was kind of set that tone. And so Bounce is the leader of the team. He's a retired teenage sidekick that they basically tracked down to lead this group. And his dad is a cop who actually gets killed on that kind of D-Day event. And so the only reason he's agreed to do this is because he doesn't really know what else to do right now, because he's just going through the grief and the process. And he feels like going out there and being a superhero is like the right way to kind of honor all that. And so everyone's kind of going through their own little issues and problems. And that's sort of the first one I get to put front and center, is tell his backstory through those first 3 issues, and also kind of show him in a darker moment where he's being pretty rough with those bank robbers, right? Or jewelry store robbers, because he just found out the day before that it was in fact his dad who died. And so he's kind of just lost right there, kind of going through that process. So that's where really the Claremont elements kind of come in, where we kind of get the opportunity to kind of, you want to tell personal stories while also being like, don't forget they're superheroes. And then so like you kind of want to do both with it. And that's really what I try to do with the issues.
Yeah, that's something I found, and I found this when I started talking to a lot of other indie creators that were crowdfunding books that were a lot like in this vein, where they're going back to the sort of 80s, 90s era comics, Claremont, Peter David, that kind of thing, and had works that were really, really clearly influenced by that. And I remember saying to, I think it was John Solita, who does a comic called Veritas, if I'm not misremembering. And I said, until I sat down and read these, I hadn't read anything new that kind of had that vibe to it, where you're building up sort of soap opera subplots in between the action, kind of clear mounting out plot twists that are going to come later down the line that you can tell are like, okay, this is going to be 5 issues from now. This is going to be the big setup.
Right.
I really missed that. And it's like, it was so nice to just read that and not be rereading an old thing, but see things in that style. Because you're right, you don't get that same experience, I think, from comics that we're seeing at the big 2 right now, in terms of it being a big story that goes somewhere. It feels really comfortable, and it doesn't really, I think, make you feel like you're reading the same thing remixed. But I think when you take elements and tropes, kind of like we were just saying about the cowboy stuff, it lets you relax a little bit and concentrate on what other things the creators are doing to make that cool. So I really like seeing stuff that kind of lives in that framework and does it well.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I do think we've kind of moved away, like modern scripting for comic books kind of has done away with like the B plot, C plot buildups. But I think that's probably has a lot to do with we kind of I don't work for the big 2, but like they kind of structured the way that they event build now, to where your B plot and your C plot are kind of gearing more toward, well, don't forget King Venom comes up in 4 or 5 months. So like make sure you lay your groundwork for that. And so that takes away some of the key pages that you would need to do something like this.
Yeah, I think it's true. I don't know if I think the market's changed a little bit, and people are, when they kind of started doing everything for trades, we, pushed in that direction. But yeah, I think I only noticed I was missing that when I'd see it done so well in so many indie comics. So it's awesome to see that stuff back, and it's cool. I think if you're somebody that's into that stuff and misses those sorts of stories, there's a lot of books out there like this. And this, by the way, is in the description of the show, so you can head over to Kickstarter and check it out there. But if that's your thing and you've been missing that stuff, this looks like a great place to kind of revisit those old styles.
Yeah, totally.
And the one thing is, this 180 pages, it's really consistently only done by really 3 artists. The first 2 backup stories are done by some different guys, Taylor Ray and Rodriguez. They do the second one. But other than that, so like Ulysses does the first 3 issues together, Ulysses Carpintero, and then Rami is doing 4 through 6, and he starts with the backup of 3, and then we jump over, and then Marco is doing the backup of 4 through 6, and then hopefully he'll jump on and do 7 through 9. I say hopefully because I every time he turns in a page, in the back of my mind, I'm terrified that like, okay, well after this it's right to Marvel or something, because like his stuff is so clean already. sometimes when I get pages, I got to go, okay, well, let's tweak this or tweak that. And then with him, there's none of it. Like when he turns in a page, it's already like dynamic and buzzing. And I just go, okay, this is really good. Thank you. Like
That's what we artists like to hear. No changes. Everything's cool.
First take.
That's the idea. Yeah, love to hear it. One thing
Right.
before we jump over
Yeah,
to the next book, I love these costumes. This kind of I don't know how I would describe it exactly. Like it's got a little bit of an '80s toy vibe.
Yeah,
a little bit of
Neo
nostalgia.
retro.
Yeah, that was sort of my
Yeah.
pitch when we were designing it. I said, "What? Think about what the government would make a superhero wear,
Mhm.
and then a team of them." And
Yeah.
we went through a couple iterations, but this was pretty quick. Now we got to this, and I went, "Yeah, this is exactly this is very much what it would look like." Also, I just want to say shout out to Caleb. I was just on a show with him with Travis Gibb, and he said so many nice things about Harold. We even looked at the page of it, and I see him in the comments there.
Yeah. So how's it going, Caleb? Thanks for tuning in with us here. But on that, let's jump over to Charlie and bring up American Yakuza.
Yeah, and this book is awesome looking too. I just want to say it before I go on mute. That cover is nuts.
Thank
all the
you.
covers are great. I mean, it's I don't know if I could pick a favorite if I were just checking this out. So
You liar.
I've got a favorite.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's great. I actually, I feel I was just telling my daughter. I was picking my son up before this call, and we were talking about stuff, and I said I feel so fortunate. Like just the people that I've come across. Ben, you, and Joey, of course, and these guys here now. Ariel, who did the ninja cover there.
Ariel's cool, man.
Dude, and he's a good friend. Like we just
Yeah.
we shoot the crap like offline all the time. It's really fun.
I'm going to say this off the record. Ariel and I, there was a time where Ariel and I were going back and forth. We were actually we were thinking about bringing on his one of his books, and
Yeah.
at the time, Geek Collective just did not have the capacity to do anything. And then he kickstarted it, and I kicked myself in the ass because it did so good.
Which one was that one?
It was the recent one that he did. I forgot. I gotta pull it up because
The Sicario one, or
no, it was the one before.
he only did covers for that one. Yeah.
No, yeah, I forget which one.
Trying
It
to
is.
think.
It's his own. It's his own. I gotta look back because it's in my emails and it's in my folder.
Yeah, no, he's a great dude, and he is such a phenomenal artist. And he's only gotten better. So I started working with him 2 years ago, and he did Spider Squirrel #3 when DC Stolpner, who was the regular line artist for me, I was trying to be consistent, which is unusual for indie comics, and he was the same artist all the way through. Well, DC had a conflict. I was like, well, crap, I want to get this book out, and so Ariel jumped in, and he did issue 3, and I was like, God, I gotta get this guy on a book. So he's doing 6 issues for me for God Quest. He's actually working on issue 3 now. In fact, today I get page 18, which is fantastic, and just I love how this book is turning out. So I had to have him do at least a cover for Yakuza, which is really cool. No, this book is a total departure from everything I've done before, which is showing in the numbers too. What's really interesting is when I look at my advanced analytics on Kickstarter, 50 of those 117 backers are new to me. Like those people have never backed any of my other stuff before, which is both expected and really high. Like I didn't expect it to be that high of a number. I thought maybe 15%, 20 if I was on the high side, but to be almost 50% of my backers are brand new it really says a lot for what kind of attention this book is getting, which I think is really positive. So we're 4 days in. It says we have 18 days to go. For those who don't realize, I didn't do a 30-day campaign. I only did a 22-day campaign. It ends on the 24th of May at 9 p.m. Eastern. So that'll give me a chance to get the funding in a couple weeks, launch another campaign while the funding comes in, and I can actually go into fulfillment and then start the next one of this one, within a month. So try to keep on in every other month kind of a bounce for this book so we can release the whole thing by the end of the year. We originally were going to do this, for those who didn't know, I was originally going to do this as a 100-page graphic novel, but to Cory's point, it's really tough to put together a graphic novel cost-wise. Now I had the ability to fund the whole thing, which is fine, thanks to Spider Scroll success and everything, but the pace, it was just too slow. It's like really hard because these artists are they're great and they're working, multiple projects simultaneously. So anyway, all that to say is if you scroll down a little bit there, Joey or Ben, whoever has control there, you'll see some of the interior art right there. Fantastic team. Damiano Restivo was recommended to me by Chris Moses, one of the co-writers. I saw Damiano's Instagram and instantly was just I said I gotta have this guy. So he puts together these very human, very raw, almost Frank Miller-esque, but very modern panels and pages, and it's really really good. The character expressions are fantastic. The facial expressions, the little nuances in the faces, and even the poses. It's just outstanding. So I love seeing what he's doing here. And then I've been, again, very fortunate to know John Rauch, who has colored everything from Batman to Green Lantern and all kinds of stuff from Marvel and DC. John and I are friends, known him for almost 10 years now. He wanted to color this, and he's taking a totally different slant than what he did when we did Spider Scroll together. So, hey, thanks, John. I appreciate the love, man. That's awesome. So John's investing himself in this with a new art style and a new flair to really fit this kind of European, again, gritty, kind of raw, human art style that Damiano's putting out there. And Taylor, we're wrapping it all up with Taylor Esposito, who is fantastic. You guys know Taylor. I'm sure you've seen him on many projects. Some you guys have produced, but also he's doing Space Ghost right now, and several other things. So Taylor's phenomenal talent, really pro letterer, and I absolutely love the work he's put into it because it matches the character, if I could say that, of the rest of the book. So looking forward to seeing this one funded and moving on to the next one. So like I said, we have five acts, as it were. We are also doing something different because Damiano's art is so just pure. We decided that we'll actually release as an add-on for every issue. We'll have a black and white option. So we'll do the black and white or grayscale cover. Haven't really decided yet on that part, but the interiors will just be raw letters and colors. So you can see his artwork in the almost like an artist edition, if you will.
I hate how good this is because I like it.
And I can't wait to see that stuff in black and white. It's got kind of a genre. I see some faces here are like really Jean-Paul Leon. Great.
I was going to say, why the last man? Pia Guerra?
Pierre Guerra. Yeah. She's amazing.
That's the vibe that I get.
Yeah. I know. I hate myself so much because it's so good. Man,
I appreciate that.
I really want to hate it so bad right now.
Well, and for those watching, and who maybe have followed me for a while, this is also the first. This is kind of the. It's funny. I have the squirrel icon right there by my name, but this is also the kind of the earmark in history for me because I'm branching out and going to separate my superhero, more traditional comic stuff from the more grounded stuff like this. So Zion Studios and Blind Squirrel Comics are going to be two different divisions, if you will, of either my brain or my publishing, however you want to look at it. But
your wallet, probably.
And there's that too. Yes, there's very much some truth in that. So expect to see Blind Squirrel break off and have its own Kickstarter brand that'll be owned by my wife, and we'll split out that way. And then I'll keep running the Design Studio stuff. So I think it's really cool. I think it's a great option too, because I see that, like yesterday was a great example. I did Free Comic Book Day, and the amount of kids that wanted to do Spider Squirrel stuff, and I don't have any kids stuff except for Night Care, was not lost on me. And then the amount of adults and teens who wanted something more nostalgic, kind of like what Cory was talking about, where a little bit more the stuff we grew up with. The creators today are things. We're the people who are buying the stuff today for the most part. The biggest demographic is the 18 to 50 something, and that's, I mean, frankly, I'm on the high end of that. And so
by a couple of decades.
Yeah, shut up, man. Why don't you go on mute? Nobody asked you. So So Zion Studios will probably do a little bit more of the more modern, edgy stuff, and then we'll do some more of the neo retro classic, Claremont. I think you guys are gonna love what I'm doing with the new Teen Force 5. Vito Desante is editing with me, and Steve Dolce is doing the writing, and it's a fantastic book. It'll trail off of this, but yeah, look for more. I think you really like what we got going on with this one, and this one will not.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It'll not be what you think it is. Like when we're done with this story, I've read obviously the last script. It's not going to end the way you think it is, and I'm really excited for everyone's reaction. So I'll shut up now.
That is pretty intriguing.
Let's take a look at the Herald.
Really cool. Let me switch over to. All right, there we go. So, Alan, give us a little bit more info about the Herald, and I will scroll through some of this great art.
Man, can we play the trailer for it? Because I spent entirely too much money for it. So can we play that so I can get my money's worth out of it?
No, this is an audio podcast, and we don't do that.
Oh, damn.
No, go ahead. That's fine. Let's go for it.
Right. We'll make an exception.
Okay, thank you. Oh, the frame rate. It's ruined. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, that's so gruesome.
I love it. His little stupid face falls off.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, that's it. Just kind of gives I guess gives like a little overview of issue 1. Oh, yeah.
Do not expect his face to fall off. That was shocking.
Cool.
That is awesome. Look, Ben, this is what I want to do with our videos. You see how this is the example that we need to have.
This is the gold standard now, everybody.
This is the gold standard of what we're gonna do with this trailer here.
Yeah.
With our trailers now.
That was really dope.
It was awesome.
Wait,
there's a lot of work.
I know you want to do your thing.
A
Alan,
lot of work.
Who made the trailer? Who
it's the same guy that we've used for all of our stuff. His name's Jared Daw. He's from Prevalent Mind Studios, and he's been awesome.
That was super dope. Like that was,
check him out.
That was like a motion comic. That was cool.
It's exactly what he's trying to do.
100%. Yeah.
Check him out on Instagram. If you guys are not following him on Instagram, it's Prevalent Mind Studios on Instagram. Right? Am I right, Alan? Okay,
you're right. Yeah.
So Prevalent Mind Studios on Instagram. Check it out because he always teases his videos before anybody else sees them. So you know when an Alan book is coming because he teases a little bit. And oh my gosh, the process is freaking badass.
That was super dope though.
And you are now fired because we are going to hire them. No, just kidding.
But yeah, so again, like I said, I guess that trailer kind of gives it up. We have this stranger in a land, and he's just trying to retrieve something that's stolen. And when we get to the preview pages, it's been stolen throughout time. So he's kind of a timeless wanderer, and we really liked that angle of going with that, just to drive the mystery behind everything with it.
I do have a quick question. Is there anywhere that anybody can see that trailer? Do you guys have it released on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, it's on Jared's YouTube, so it's on Prevalent Mind Studios YouTube. It's on his Instagram. It's all over his stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about this art, and the colors you're using are really cool. It's got that I think this is kind of something lines up pretty well here. Is like this is a kind of a modern color palette. in
Yeah,
terms of a lot of other stuff we're seeing, it works out really well. And kind of going back to some of the stuff you'd see in the 60s, that really lined up well. And I just love the line work here. There's like a little bit of Toth, reminds me of Jock a little bit at points. And the way you can use the color just to go through all these time periods and tell the story really clearly there is really cool to see.
if you've ever seen any of Ruben's stuff, I've described Ruben as a chameleon before because Ruben, he's really good about changing up his art style for what it needs to be. And Ruben wanted this art style and his color palette just to be, well, mainly the color palette just to be flats. And he wanted his line art to accent that, and he wanted this to look like it was applicable to that time period. Like, with the purples and the oranges, he wants you to look at it and feel like you are in this town and in this world, and like it came from this time period.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I think if I'm not incorrect, I mean, like looking at the Human Target series they wrapped up a year or two ago, Greg Smallwood was kind of doing that with his colors, where it would just be like this slant that can separate your shadows. You wouldn't even like have the contours of the face or specific shadows in a lot of cases.
So good.
Yeah, I loved that stuff, and I was like, God, if I could ever just fix my brain so I'd allow myself to do that.
It's funny because, like, we've shown it to like test audiences and stuff like that before, and it's weird because the art on the surface is simple when you kind of look at it, but then when you really start thinking about everything that goes into it, it's like, man, this is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, even doing stuff in the simplest style. I mean, it takes so much time. Even if you're doing something sketchier, rougher, and I wouldn't even call this simple, really.
Yeah. Because, like, and again, he's so smart with like the bold shadow choices that he decides to go with and everything. Yeah, I'm just so happy with everything that Ruben did on this, and just happy he also reached out to me to want to do something with him.
And it's crazy how much colors can change like perspective of what you're looking at. Like they pop, but you're right. Like the difference between the Roman Congress thing and the Western side, like just using a lot of the purples for the Western and then all the bright colors for like the democracy talk, whatever's happening here. Colors are amazing, dude. That's great.
Right. Yeah, like I said, Ruben just did such a banger job, man, on all this.
Yeah, I love this face here. It's a simple angle. It can kind of be tough to draw and get right sometimes, and nailed it there. Very cool. So is this a one shot? Is this going to be a larger story that you're going to?
Yeah, it's 5 issues is what we have it slated for.
Cool. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
Kind of take me through I know you're laying out some of the mystery of this character and revealing a little bit of what he's after. How much of that do you kind of keeping in issue 1, and how much how are you kind of breaking up the story to get some fun things in there, and enough to be a cool first issue, and then also keep us on the hook for the rest of the story?
That's a good question that I don't have an answer to. So what we're doing obviously is we already have all the story planned out and spaced out, but how Ruben's doing this, it's kind of challenging me and my approach. So I have to change how I operate and function, because we'll go through the story beats together and what we want to do and where we want it to be. Like, okay, the first 8 pages is going to have this, next 8 is going to have this. But then Ruben will draw the whole issue and then we'll go in and write it. So it's kind of, like I said, it's new for me to do something like that.
That's pretty Marvel method, kind of sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do most of the time. I have just like usually an Excel spreadsheet with page counts of scenes, and then draw it out. I'll have some dialogue in there if I've remembered it, but other than that, I pretty much just do the writing when I'm going into a letter. Yeah.
But it's very, very much an artist kind of thing, right? Because you already have the scene how you want it to work out and play out in your head, and you're like, okay, they could probably say it like this, so it's playing out in your head already. So it seems very interesting that it worked out that way, because he's the artist and that's the way he's working. So very cool. Let's take a quick break here, and when we come back from the break, we're gonna jump into some of the talk about marketing some of this stuff and how differently you guys have done this, because since this is a little bit different from stuff that you've done, Alan, I want to talk to you a little bit about why you didn't hire me, number one. That I'm a little sour or salty about that, but about how these kind of differ from the last campaigns that you've done and things of that nature, and same with you, Charlie and Cory. So when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Let's go ahead and play that All Ages of Geek commercial, please.
Click that mouse and warp into All Ages of Geek's website, your ultimate portal to everything geek culture. Here you'll find articles that speak your language, from the latest anime buzz to the coolest tech trends. Our mission? To celebrate geekdom in all its glory. Whether you're a gamer, a comic enthusiast, a 90s kid, or an anime aficionado, we've got something for you. Dive deep into them with All Ages of Geek.
Thanks to friend of the show, All Ages of Geek. If you guys want to find all kinds of really geeky stuff, from anything from animated comics to movies and all things in between, head on over to allagesofgeek.com and find your geekdom. Thank you guys, and let's dive a little bit into some of the marketing stuff. Alan, I want to talk to you first, because as we stopped with you before the break. How does some of this stuff differ from some of the other things that you've marketed in the past, from the Herald to all these other things that you've done?
I mean, with every book that I try to be a part of, I want to make sure first and foremost it's fun, right? I got to make sure that the reader's having as much fun reading it as I did writing the thing. This one's a little bit different in the approach, because I think the book's fun. I think it's awesome, but it's not as on the nose fun as, something like Horus or Grandma Chainsaw or Pocus, because that's kind of like in your face. This is what it is, right? So with this one, and that was one of the reasons why we went with a lower goal, because one, it's an issue one, and two, it's kind of a deviation from some of the stuff that I've done before. So we tried to be smart about that and how we pushed ourselves in this direction too, because of course, we're hoping that people get this, read it, really like it, and then we'll see our big jump with issue two.
Yeah. I have to tell you guys, from the beginning of when I started doing this business, I kind of partnered with Alan and them, and we kind of together, he and I kind of built out basically what the structure of that we use now for some of the things that we do. And and the price points are one of those big things that he was always pinpointing out there. And and if you guys know, if there anybody knows Alan like I know Alan, he's a numbers guy. He like calculates everything. He looks at the numbers as the thing goes on. He's like, well, we need to get this week, right? It's like it's so when it comes to numbers and stuff like that, how do you hit your price points exactly where you feel like you need to with each campaign? Because they seem to do very well each time.
Yeah. So it's obviously you set your budget smart, because with with the covers, normally we have like 5 or 6 covers. This one we only did 3 main covers and then 1 special edition cover, and then the rest of them, instead of having the limited edition metal cover, we just did a virgin cover of the other ones. So we already have the artwork, so it saves money. Right? We didn't need to get a whole another artist for it and everything. So but yeah, we have, like I said, with the 3 main covers, they're all strong covers. They're Ruben's main cover, Brahms cover, and then Brian Belando, who has done almost every book I've ever been on. We got a cover by him as well. And again, it's little stuff that you could do to try to improve your numbers a little bit too, and utilize the people that you have around you. Because Ruben, we did a get to draw yourself as an outlaw in the book, right? And there's my stupid face. So again, it's just little stuff like that you get to do.
Very, very cool. Let's since Charlie stepped away for a second, let's go to you, Cory, really quick, and talk about some of the things that you've done in your campaigns and the price points that you've set and each campaign that you've done. How does this one differ from the rest?
So everything else I did before this were floppies, and so I definitely kind of used more of the, I don't want to say the floppy math before, where you could kind of set like a $10, a $20, a $30, and kind of catch all the increments, because pricing is so important in a Kickstarter. This one, I really struggled with coming up with something to kind of middle tier, because it essentially all I'm trying to do is just get enough put together to print enough copies of this hardcover that I can have extras to go to shows and sell, and also kind of fulfill. Being new to all this, where I screwed up in the beginning was as I did the floppies, I didn't overprint in the beginning. I printed to order and then took the money and funneled it into the next issue. And so what wound up happening is I never really built up that reserve. So my goal with this one is to try and build up a reserve. I'm hoping to have a couple hundred copies of the hardcover that can float me through a year or two while I do other projects and stuff to take to shows. And so that was where the number kind of creeps up on you. But because of the higher number, I was really afraid of doing smaller tiers just because it does all add up, but does it get me there? I don't know. And so this is by far the biggest one I did. So I kind of went on the higher end with some of the stuff, like a cameo in the book is $100. The ability, Print Ninja sent me a quote where I could number the books. And so the ability to buy one of the low numbered printed books is $100. Those are kind of the things that I did there. The cameos are fun because like my brother-in-law did one. So in one of the backup stories, he's a bartender for the superheroes at a party. But yeah, definitely setting the price points is a hard thing to get right. That's something I'm probably still learning.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough when you have a big ticket item like a hardcover and then the shipping that goes with it. Because I'm planning on doing something like that pretty soon this year and sort of looking at, I couldn't add too many other things in there that weren't that. Because I'm looking, okay, what if I get really half as much as I need for the hardcover, but some of that's in single issues and I don't really have the right amounts to print up that run in the way I wanted to do it.
And that,
it was really tough to do that.
That's the rock and the hard place, right? Like you don't want to, I want to be really, really clear. I know this is expensive and it's hard work, but I don't want to take we're doing this because we love it. There's literally no money built into this that I make and take home and stash in the mattress. You know what I mean? Like this is literally going to Kickstarter fees, printing, shipping, and then, paying the creators a little bit extra ahead of time so that I can finish the book faster. None of this is like me banking money. So even at this 19.5, it's kind of a break-even number. And that's, first of all, it's terrifying when you write that down on paper and do the math. Yeah. But secondly, you try to price it to where you just get in. And I know I would like to think we all are, but whenever I finish paying everybody, I'm always looking at $0, and I'm just go. Oh, all right,
it's hard, right? It's hard to price these things, and then like you're saying, you want a little bit extra to kind of maybe go to some trade shows and things of that nature, and it's a little difficult, right? See, we recently did a Kickstarter, and I don't think we're gonna print too much over what was ordered anyway, because I feel like I need to stock up, like I said, like you're saying, before we even do anything, right? Because I want to have enough to go on the table, right? So I think we might wait until we have at least 3 to 4 issues that we could put on the table, and then maybe do an entire Kickstarter for that for like a trade show to get stock and stuff like that.
That's a hard choice to make too, because an issue 1 at a show would probably do really well. Just right there, even by itself, where you just go, hey, this is the first issue we're working on 2 right now. That would probably sell fairly well, but you're making your numbers when you get the Kickstarter done, and you go, man, maybe there wasn't as much excitement as I was hoping there was. So then, okay, I'm not going to print 200 extra copies yet because maybe 2 doesn't make, and then I've got all these extra ones.
And you got to come up with different strategies, right? So let's talk to Fred Durst. I mean, Charlie, and talk and what's your strategies?
No, that's a great question. So I do tend to overprint everything. So like when I did the Spice World #1, first off, I did not expect it to go 5 figs. It was the first Kickstarter I had done in a long time, but I did have the pleasure and really the fortune to spend 2 years promoting it. And so jumping into that first campaign really fed the next campaigns. But when I budgeted for it, kind of to the point we're talking about, is I looked at how much did I spend on the book, how much did I spend on the covers, how much am I going to spend on, let's just say, 500 copies, which is kind of crazy. But I was like, well, I'll just go with that number and see what happens. Well, yeah, I had 417 backers, I think, on that first one, and and so that wasn't an unreasonable number. So I kind of kept in that same vein of, let me overestimate how many backers I'm going to do. Let me budget my printing costs towards a significant overprint, you know. So I'm always in that 5 to 750 range. And if there's like with my printers, if they give me a break even or a price break at like 250 in 251. So Comics Wellspring, for example, 250 of 28-page book with a four cover. So a full color cover. So that's, really 28 pages, 20 plus 4, 32. That might be $3.17 at 250, but it might be at 251. It might be $2.82. So you're looking at, a quarter each in savings. And so I always like to go into the next level up if I can. So just a recommendation for everybody who's getting into Kickstarters or printing and stuff like that is talk to your printers. Do they have a number that has a delta that is a significant cost difference for you, so where it drops into a negative delta? If they do, then aim for that, and then really promote to that end. Like, I want to get 500 backers because I want to print 751 copies, and I want to have 200 and something copies to be able to take around. That's kind of my it's a very generic version of how I do things. How I really do things is very nerdy. I have a spreadsheet. I know how much my artists cost. I know how much my covers cost. I know how much my Gemini mailers cost. I know how much. And so I break it all the way down, and then I do a little bit of. I was just talking to somebody yesterday. Actually, it's a scientific art. How I price my Kickstarters.
Listen, I really love when it would talk it to Charlie with this stuff, because I know he's an Excel guy. He really does like.
I'm such a nerd.
I love it though, because it's like sometimes you have to, right? You have to organize yourself and put yourself in this position to have this kind of consistency where if you're doing this and you know where all the money is going, you know what's going on. And what's going to fail, right? If you know where it's all going to go.
Well, and that's it. I mean, full kimono opening. Like, I'm still running in the positive on my books because the first Kickstarter did so well, it funded the next 3 Kickstarters. Well, I only had 2 planned, so I kind of rolled it that way. Now that was some fortune, some planning, but I say it's cliche, but we say it all the time, right? Like, fortune is opportunity meets timing meets hard work, right? And so I kind of play on that formula as it were. But yeah, there's a science to it, there's an art to it. I don't always budget my Kickstarters to meet my my baseline. So in other words, maybe a book cost me $7,500 to do. I'm just making numbers up now, but I might put the Kickstarter at $5,000. That's a $2,500 negative, but there's also a perspective thing. And there's the other factor is, and everyone's kind of hit on it a little bit as we talked about it. You're selling at cons, you're selling at shows. Yesterday, I made almost $1,000 at a one-day local store, like, book signing, free comic book day thing. Like, holy crap, right? Who does that? That's more than some of us do on a day on a con. So, you think about that and you go, oh, so there's other vehicles to sell. So I'll say this: try to make your money back on Kickstarter, but you don't always have to. And that's how I kind of approach it. Is I look at my numbers, and I do run the spreadsheets, to Joey's point, and I say, what is it going to cost me to make this book? And again, I'm running kind of against my wallet right now. So I'm okay if I keep publishing this book. If this one doesn't fund, it will. If it doesn't fund, it doesn't matter. The books get produced. Now, backers don't want to hear that necessarily because they want to fund something, but you are, and that's the whole advantage of doing Kickstarter is people are seeing this. At the same time, you got to look at other factors. How many Kickstarters are running right now? When I did Spider Squirrel #1, there were 192 Kickstarters going. When I did Spider Squirrel #3, there were 472 Kickstarters going just in the comics genre alone. I'm running against the numbers, and so
but that's kind of listen. But that's just a drop in the bucket, though.
Correct. 100%.
Not the 400 is just a drop in the bucket. If we're talking about that, like, Kickstarter comic books on Kickstarter is only 3% of their funding.
Okay, that's crazy.
it's the 400 comic books is just a drop in the bucket.
Agreed. And so, but at the same time, when you're talking about your space, your zone, right, your box, we have to factor in our box. And so, first off, I'll say this: if you're on Kickstarter and you're not looking at the box that you're in, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you really ought to pay attention to what's going on around you. What's successful too? That's the other thing I look at. I restructure my Kickstarters almost every single time, just a little bit, but I maybe I put the creators here instead of there, or maybe I put the interior page here instead of there. Maybe I put the logo here instead of there. Those are really important factors to think about. So it's a big planning thing. Joe, you know this. I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think that for me on this one, for example, like I had to approach it differently. I already mentioned I have a whole slew of different backers that I've never had before. Well, I had to reach out to those. I had to find those people.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're different methods. Sometimes it's different hashtags. Sometimes it's different Facebook groups. Sometimes it's different TikTok folks and hashtags and stuff like that. Different, whatever. So you find your method and you get out there and you kind of get in front of it.
Yeah.
At the same time, admittedly, I put my Joey and I talked about this offline. I put my goal a little lower than my initial goal. Because this is the first NSFW mature audiences book I've ever done. So most of my fans and audience are not mature audiences fans necessarily. They might be, right? So 60% of the backers are. They back superhero stuff as well as NSFW, but I won't convert everybody because not everybody's backing that stuff, right? So you know that.
Yeah. And that's true, right? You have to account for stuff like that too, right? When you go from like a genre that you're like killing it, right? You've done these like what's the most successful campaign that you've had, Charlie?
Spider-Man #1 did almost 12,000.
12K, right? Okay.
Right. But that was 5 years ago.
True, but if we're looking at that, right? You created a base from those people, right? And you've continued to grow that brand, grow that franchise, right? And you go from a different franchise to a jump into the next, and you're trying to convince your people that they're already on board for they see what you can do with this, and they're like they expect the same kind of thing, right? Now you're asking them to branch outside of that box, outside of that bubble, to follow you this way. You're going to have a significant amount of people that will, because they love you, right? Where there's always going to be those people like Sean, right? Who love you so much they're going to follow you everywhere you go. We love them, and they are the pillars of the community, right? But not everybody does that. So
and I knew that. Yeah,
Alan, how do you reach out to your people that haven't followed you? How much percentage of those other people have followed you?
Man, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I'm just kind of like,
dude, I said you were the numbers guy, and you can't.
Yeah, but dude, like, here's the thing. I just feel like I'm just kind of guessing my way through till something good happens, right? Like, because whenever you make a new campaign, it's wild because it's like, okay, you ever watched a gambling commercial and at the bottom of it, there's that disclaimer that's like, if you know someone with a problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER or whatever it is. Like, we all need that for Kickstarter because like, whenever you're making a book and stuff, like, I set the goal low for this one because it's not what people expect from me. Kind of like to Charlie's point, right? For him, making a not safe for work book, right? Does his fans want that? It could have been a mutiny, right? He could have made $0 because they were like, we don't want this from you. We want, the other stuff. But like, with this, as soon as you launch the campaign, and Charlie, I'm sure you thought this before, man, it's like, what if this is the one, right? Like, you made, $12,000 on that one, but what if I would have launched the Herald and for some reason this one was the one that just hit with everybody and I wake up the next morning and I'm already at $8,000 in 24 hours, right? That's the thing. You never know with this stuff, but you don't want to also ever take that for granted. Again, that's why I made the goal lower, right? Just because I'm trying to be forward thinking with this.
And that's absolutely true. We recently worked with CJ Hudson, who had a very ambitious campaign. He came to me and he had like literally over 10 covers, right? And he wanted to and he was trying, and maybe I'm outing him a little bit. I'm sorry, CJ, I love you, but here's an example, right? There is digital tiers for each cover. And I'm like, dude, this is you're not going to sell most of these. People are not going to buy digital tiers or just because there's a brand, just a cover on the front, right? Cool idea, but I don't. Might
a
not
hard
work.
sell.
It's a real
Yeah, there's a better way to go about that. I mean, dude, if you want
Digital
to,
deluxe. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I do. Like
Deluxe.
digital deluxe, like
And
you just
that's-
get the main book and then just give a cover galleries.
And that's exactly what I told him. If you're gonna do something like that, drop a digital deluxe on him. And I told him, okay, do the regular
100%.
one at $5. He did it at $5. Then for $8, we're gonna give you the gallery of all the covers. We're also gonna give you the NSFW covers, and we're also gonna give you the art prints that everybody's gonna be getting physically as digital art prints. And we're also any video or audio or any kind of thing, we're going to try to get our hands on anything that he went live and did interviews with during that campaign to talk about this book, and we're going to load them up with that digital deluxe as well. If anything we can get our hands on that is audio or video or downloadable, right? Because that's the thing, right? And it was $5, and then it jumped up to just a handful of bucks to $8, right? So that right there, just doing that, we already have our hands on that stuff. We're already going to do that stuff. It's not going to be that much harder just to add those things to another file in InDesign, right, Ben? It's very easily just to add a new page to that. And sending out all these really cool links, you just drop all those things in one file, in one Dropbox file or one Drive file, and give people, if you can even throw codes on there, when you can lock it out and only give codes out to people or whatever, and then they have to come, there's so many things you can do. You just send that out there to them, and they will, just for $8, and they'll love it, right? You could see, literally watch the numbers. CJ never had a lull in his campaign because these things that he did strategically. He made sure that if there was people be like, okay, I can't really spend that much, they had a really good price point over here for $8. You got loaded up with all kinds of stuff. Who's gonna say no to that? So it's like, and then you got to do, maybe you have these NSFW covers, but you're only going to limit them to a handful of them, right? Or a certain amount of time. There's different things you can do with it, right? Those things are limitless, but strategically putting these things in the right place, you gotta. How do you guys do that? It's by consumer. Alan will always tell me, hey, go look at all these other campaigns that are doing similar things that we're doing, and think about the price points and the things that they're doing, and then we set our kind of goals, right?
Yeah,
so you're going out there doing market research.
To Joey's point, this is some of the stuff that we have to think about as creators too, because it's wild when you actually put it in perspective, right? It'll give you like an existential crisis when you really think about it, because we're spending thousands of dollars on a book for someone to read for 5 minutes. Right. And that's it.
And then put it away.
Right. Because I mean, for real, but that's how you have to do law of large numbers, right? You have to get a bunch of people in to back your stuff. And of course, even maximizing the digital crowd, right? Because again, if let's say, we do $10 for a digital deluxe, right? I mean, from a consumer standpoint, they may be like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. But again, we're independent, and we're trying to make this book profitable so we don't go in the hole, and we can keep making more stuff for you guys if you guys actually enjoy it. Because realistically, like I said, it's a lot of money making these books, man. And printing them, and that's the thing.
Right. It's not just going to cost $5,000 to make a 32-page book, guys.
Yeah. Because you also got to pay for printing and shipping, and it's like there's so much other stuff on top.
Even though their goal says $2,000 to $3,000, I guarantee you there's at least $4,000 or $5,000 more that they need to print this thing.
Dude, my goal is never what I actually need for the book, because I already check Kickstarter 11 times a day. I can't imagine if I put my real goal on there and I checked it, dude, I'd have a stroke. It'd send me to an early grave. I would not be able to do this.
Definitely. there's definitely unclaimed money in the production side of it for sure, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, whatever I paid for half of this, I'm never going to get back. And I just move on from that and just what can I put in their pockets? But you guys are blowing my mind with all the digital deluxe and all that. There's so much.
Yeah, man.
I'm such an amateur at all this, and every time I do one of these, I barely make it, and then I turn around and I'm like, I've been sweating it for the whole time, and then I look at someone else and they've got 90 covers, and I'm like, I didn't think about that at all.
It's no, it's
research. It's all about market research. You got to look at the things that are doing that are like you can't look at like Charlie's not going to look at the Herald and then compare the two, right? Because they're not going to work that way.
Because why would he do that? Why would he be like, I would never wait. I'm making art. This guy is drivel.
Oh, I thought it was going to go the other way with like self-deprecation. No,
I know.
No.
Yeah.
He said
no.
Why would you compare it to my amazing one? Yeah, that's.
I will say this. Is those of us this generation of Kickstarters is it sounds weird to say it, but and by the way, joking aside, I'm trying to like level set everything and trying to stay humble as possible because you guys are so sweet. But seriously, like I think the thing is that those of us as creators need to start thinking about our rewards need to be catered to the digital backer. Stop catering our rewards all to the physical backers because there's some like me, like I'm a physical backer in terms of if I see a cover I really love, I'll go for that cover. Like, but I gotta really love it. Otherwise, I'm gonna go for the digital. And the reason is one, it allows me to support. So it's two reasons for me personally. Is it allows me to support more people. So at 803 backs campaigns, or whatever the heck I'm at now, a lot of that's digital. It's because my house is only so big. But the other reason is because it allows me to stretch that money. But at the same time, I've become I'm almost 50 guys, but
I do want to back before you go. That's real. Like
no, it is
100%. The house being so big, like I literally we moved and I literally have my comic books underneath my bed because I have too many and we don't have anywhere to put them.
Right. No, it's a real problem. So I didn't want to like gloss over that, but at the same time, I do want to recognize that even those who are younger and who are finding our books, they're going to go digital first. And the reason is the same reason we all bought floppies for a long time, is because even if the trade paperback was looming and we knew it was looming, so it wasn't always like, again, I'm old, so I didn't know I was getting a trade paperback all the time. Right. So I bought Legionnaires #1 and I bought Legion of Superheroes #1, and those books crossed over, and I bought both series for like a freaking 2-year series of floppies, and then all of a sudden they drop a trade and they collect the first 6 issues of both books and the next 6 issues and so forth. Today is a little different, right? They almost buy like Marvel and DC and even Dynamite and some of the independents. I put in air quotes because I want to be very clear about generalizing. They do build in arcs planning to collect into a trade at some point. Now, maybe not immediately like Marvel and DC, but at some point. We're the same way, right? So our backers are looking at that and they say, I'm not going to necessarily back the physical. I'm going to back the digital. If you give me enough value in the digital deluxe or whatever, like we talked about, so scripts.
We have a digital consumer here in the chat room. We have BMD Nerd says that they back digital first before they hit the physicals. So I want to you can keep talking, Charlie, but I want to throw a question out there for BMD Nerd. So if you are a physical or a digital backer first, what is the most intriguing digital choice that you would go for before anything else?
Great question.
Like do you go for like the lowest entry point first, right? See if you like it, test the waters, and then if you like it, then you go for it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know for me, I go digital first for everything, and then if I like the creator and I love one of the covers, I'll probably go physical. So that's kind of like that bridge point for me. If I don't know the creator, but I love one of the physicals, I may look at going digital deluxe because I can get it usually in a cover gallery. library.
Listen, I went when I went to go get a new tablet. I got myself a 12-inch freaking iPad so that I can read.
That's the only 12 inches you'll ever have. That's why. So sorry, it's late night. I just figured I'd take that shot. I love you, Joey.
It's been that kind of night. It really has.
That's what happens. This is I kid. I was gonna say this is this
Oh,
is,
dude,
has-
you could do your triple X line and call it Cheat Collective.
there you go. There it is. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
The pop out
I'm gonna
trademark that.
call
real quick.
NSFW, and it's gonna be Cheat
Welcome
Collective.
to Cheat
Thank you.
Collective. This is Geek Collective After Hours. Bitches.
We're gonna do another. We're also gonna have a new line, a triple X line, very soon, guys. But yeah, if for you digital guys out there, let me know why you guys consume digitals, and what's your best option when you guys are looking for the digitals. BMD Nerd says lowest option if I'm on the fence, deluxe if it seems like I'd like it. If I'm a fan of the creator, I'm probably getting to the physical. Okay.
See, he said, they said what I was saying is, look at it, and I'm at almost 50 years old, I've converted into a manga artist, reader, consumer. And so in the last year, I bought the entire Vagabond collection in Japanese and English, and so forth. But
Dude, I own like 7 versions of Berserk.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
but how much do you read on like Shonen Jump and Viz Media? I read so much on there, and then I still turn around and I buy the physical.
Jump app before, I would have saved myself thousands and thousands of dollars.
Dude, 100%. I totally agree with you on that one.
I have 4 giant bookshelves all around me full of manga, and then I found out the Shonen Jump app exists for $3 a month.
WTF, right? Like. Yeah. So, but the point that you and I both just made is that's where our readers are today. Is the guys and gals that are our age they'll jump in and buy a floppy.
Yeah.
But most of our backers, and that's what I was getting at earlier, is you need to cater to your digital readers and digital backers and figure out what value can you bring to them, what value can you deliver, what will they actually consume that makes a difference. And to be BMD Nerd's point, make that value palpable, make it tangible, even if it's not, right? So that they will back your book. And then when the hardcover collection comes out or the trade paperback collection comes out, they will probably buy into it. Just like me, yeah. I read Kaiju number 8 B-sides. I'll buy the Tankobon when it comes out because I love the book and I'll reread it. Thank you, another Kaiju number 8 fan. I've read it since volume 1. Gangsta is another one. I'm reading Gangsta Cursed, which is a side series. I read it as individual issues on digital, but I'm buying the Tankobons as they come out. So they're all out now, by the way. So anyway, the point is that I think we need to be very careful. And people talk about this manga versus comics argument, and I think the difference is that manga has realized that they know they're selling individual floppy issues at a very low cost, digitally mostly, sometimes in a collective or an anthology like Shonen Jump. And then they're turning around, they're trying to make the money on the Tankobons. So we need to do the same thing. We need to start thinking like mangaka, and recognize that we're not going to sell a lot of floppies all the time, that the collections will be big, but we need to get the digitals out to our people. We need to get digitals out to our readers. Right?
And if they are quote unquote, but if they are quote unquote floppies, right? Do double issues, you know what I mean, right? Or do a little bit bigger issues.
Bring a value to it. Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And you can really do that pretty cheaply as a creator. I always kind of took the digital stuff as, obviously you need to get some kind of goal mat for your print run if you're going to do a print component. But if you look at the profit you're going to make on just sending out a file. And I've seen people that complain about digital prices being high, just say like scoffing and say it's a PDF. I ain't paying $15 for that.
That's
which I get
pretty high, right?
But if you can keep it reasonable, and I think people are okay with things in the
here's my philosophy.
Range,
like here's my philosophy with the digital.
You don't do that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like my philosophy with the digitals are keep it low, but load them up, right? Because what is it going to cost us to produce that, right? It's only going to cost us time right, to produce something digitally. Now, right, now there's obviously limits to that, and people can argue that pieces of that, right? But if we're gonna just on a general sense, like me, like I'm not an artist, right? But me producing some of this stuff, like I'm just gonna go into InDesign and like put stuff together for you really quick, and then throw some of these like some of the work that the prints that we said that we were going to give to people for physicals. I'm going to probably throw them in the digital deluxe package as well, right? So it's like it doesn't really cost that much if we're already going to be sending something to the printer anyway. I already have it in the files, already have it ready for me to send off. All I got to do is just add it to that PDF file somewhere, and so it's not really going to take me too much. So that's why I kind of keep this logic of keeping digitals a little bit lower on the lower side. I don't like to go anywhere near $10 myself, even if I continue to load them up with all kinds of stuff, right? Because like I said, links and files and all that stuff, it's just literally going to cost me my time. Now, if you're an artist drawing stuff and stuff, and that's different, right? Now there's an argument there, right? And that you got to pay for that. But
the only $10 like digital I've ever released is either trade paperback or like my Titan Size Special, which has a 24-page story and then 10 4 to 8 page stories. The book was 124 pages, so it was a trade, right? And so that's the only time I ever went that high. If you go that high, you're smoking crack if you think your readers are going to buy that, unless they really freaking love you. And that's really to BMD Nerd's point, right? Is like I gotta love you, like I want to lick your face, kind of love you to buy a $10 book.
Okay,
right?
So what do I have to do?
This is the cheat collective. There we go. The lick, the lick my face tier.
Yeah, so I think that's where like my digital collection, I'm at 25, but I'm at 180 pages.
Woo, and that's still pretty high.
That's well, and that is, but that was where I was sort of. I'm a late convert on digital. My very first Kickstarter, in my back of my mind, as I made the digital tier, I was like, "Who wants a digital when they're buying comic books?" And now by issue 3, I was like, "Digital's really great because you're right. You do so much less effort-wise for that because you already put the files together anyway."
And there's also a reason why. Absolutely. There's also a reason why every single physical backer gets a PDF copy of that, and they get the digital deluxe version of it because listen, I'm the kind of guy that's like, I'll put it on my wall, but I also want to read it. So and the only time that I have time to read is when everybody's asleep and I can't do it with the lights on. So I gotta have I gotta hide in the dark and read my comics in the corner. I'm telling you, I'm really reading comics, guys. I'm really reading comics, not doing anything different.
Yeah, this is exactly what I did with the.
It's okay. So Pornhub, I get it. So you're fine. But
well, I live in Texas, so we don't have it anymore. It's literally just reading comics for us now. That's it now. They shut down
Ben, what are you saying, Ben?
I live in the freest state in the union, so we don't get to watch porn anymore here.
Irony of ironies, right?
Yeah.
No, I think that's it. But at the same time, let's not ignore either the other side of it. So the one thing, and anybody who's watching, I'm just saying this for their sake, is if you're getting into Kickstarter or some kind of crowdfunding tech, I love Zoop too. Think about your digital backers. What do they want? What will they buy? What's the value? Bring a value. So often, I think people bring, they throw crap out there and think, oh, that's a value. Is it? You got to ask the question, is it really a value? But at the same time, on the physical side of things, is that a value, right? What you're bringing them is a value. Spider Squirrel number was a 40-something page book with 10 pages of backup like preview stuff. Is that a value? Well, people seem to think so. But do they always?
I'm
right?
not a big fan of the backup stuff. I'm like, okay,
right. Some people aren't. Exactly. You're exactly where I was going with that.
Wait, really? You don't like backup stories? I love backup stories, man. Like that was.
I'm like, come on, bro. Okay?
The Marvel moment.
You're gonna put that in there anyway. You know what I mean? I'm like one of those guys. But it's like if you can, then. But that's the thing, right? The next guy might love it. So.
Right.
It's true. Like I don't like the Zack Snyder director version of something, but I do like the backup story comic book.
Wait,
so
you don't like the other way that he broke somebody's neck? Oh, good.
Yeah, man. If you can make a 3.5 hour movie 4 hours, I think you just leave it at 3.5.
That's a whole other
I always like the
conversation,
longer
by the
ones.
way. Why is it that guy, every time he shows up in the headlines, he's like got to do a different version of his movies? Like, why can't you just make the right movie the first freaking time? Like,
Oh,
I
man.
don't understand that one. And then also the guy who did the first Suicide Squad, apparently he's been like campaigning to get his
David
director's cut.
Ayers. Yeah.
Yeah. And no
Most of that
traction.
sounds
No one's
really
been like,
cool,
yeah,
though.
let's do Jared Leto Joker.
I think
for sure.
the whole thing was Steppenwolf was going to be it was all tied into like Darkseid and all that stuff. And I'm like, and they just at the last minute, I guess, said no, it's got to be nothing to do with that. Make the girl the villain. I can't imagine. I don't even understand how they could draw it back into that and have it still make sense. But they shot like a totally different movie.
This is the one problem that Indy does not have. And this is what I want to stress to all of us here is remember that point. You don't have a shareholder to respond to.
Yeah,
true.
Finish your goddamn stories.
I love
You
that
know
was
what I'm
one thing you whispered
Can't-
on after all.
right?
This yeah.
Just do your story the way exactly this right. Yeah. So like, finish your freaking stories.
Sean Fry says they buy digital mostly as well, and they also said if I like the artist's work, I have no problem paying $10. I understand these are indie creators, not mainstream comics, which is true, right? That's true, right? We do have to justify it, but we also have to know our market. We have to know our
Yeah.
base. We know our base, know the space that we are in, and what people are. Here's the one thing I always tell everybody, and maybe we could say this on the way out because we're going over on time, is that always do market research, right? Market research is big because you have to go around and look at other campaigns and what they're doing and where they're funding at, and that is similar to yours. Now, sometimes it could be hard to kind of judge what's similar to yours, right? But just even so, look out there and see what people are doing, right? Now, here's the thing: don't judge it by the by the goal, right? If you want to set yours, maybe I'm looking at you, Cory, here. If you're setting yours at 20K, and don't go look at another 20K campaign, look at something that's similar with your artwork, with your writing style, with maybe your artist had another Kickstarter that they were on to, like things of that nature, to kind of look around there, look at other superhero things that have a very similar feel, gritty, kind of feel to it, and see what they're doing and watch their tiers and watch who's paying what, where, and when, and how, and which ones are the most funded, right? And then think about your campaign and what you have to offer, and then set yourselves a goal. That is, it's hard to set a realistic goal because maybe we need 10K, maybe we need 12K, but is that realistic? Is that what people are funding at with this in this space, right? And it's hard because especially when you like here's the thing, I work with some people that do anthologies, and there's so many different hands in the pot that need to be paid, and it's really difficult to convince people to bring those goals down anywhere below $10,000 to $15,000, and because they are like, well, if we can't hit that one, then we can't pay anybody, right? So, but it's like it's really hard to kind of consider these things sometimes.
No, that totally is a good point, man. Like my problem is I'm very pragmatic, and so like I do a very bare bones kind of like, here's how I would, like, what would I want, and then I don't even think about anybody else. And then like when it goes live and everyone else is looking at it, they're like, hey, there's not really a lot here, and I go, really? Like,
yeah. One recommendation I have for Kickstarters is, do you know your average number of backers? And if you don't, figure it out. Like, how many backers are going to back your type of campaign? To Joey's point, like, what are other campaigns getting that maybe are in a similar vein? And be realistic with yourself too. You're like, I'm not Pat Shan, so I'm not getting, or I'm not even Cat Calamia, right? So I'm not getting 1,000 backers. So maybe I'm getting 200 or 300 backers. Well, how many backers do I need to hit my goals? Well, what are my goals? So answer that question first. Then how many backers do I need to hit that goal? Well, maybe 200. Okay, great. How much per backer do I need to make to hit that goal
each day?
And then you're right. And then so say it's $25. That's a common Kickstarter number.
Yeah.
If you don't have a $25 tier that has a value of at least $25, you're shortchanging yourself and your backers.
Yep.
Find that magic number and make sure if it's $35, make sure you have a $35 campaign or tier. and hit and make that tier valuable enough that people want to back at $35 so that your average at the end of the day, including people who drop and other things, is $35. Because a
Yeah,
lot of backers are going to be digital. So you got to understand that they're going to grab the 5 and 10, $12.
exactly. And
Right.
the reason why I called Alan the numbers guy is because this is what he would do, right? He would message me every once in a while, be like, all right, he's all, today we need to have an average of this amount of people hitting this amount of number of payments, right? Like, so like you said, we need an average of each backer the paying $35 each day. So each backer has to pay at least $35 to keep us going in an upward trajectory. And you got to do that. Then how are you going to do that? You got to make sure that you have all these things set strategically in those spots. And there's a sweet spot on Kickstarter, which is anywhere from 25 to maybe $55, $60. It kind of ranges depending on different people, but that's usually the sweet spot, right? So you got to want to make sure that your sweet spot is in the middle, and then you're giving everybody a nice, good little deal and a bang for the buck, just like they're saying. Alan, tell us a little bit about how you hit that sweet spot, and then we got to do some of these. We got to talk a little bit about some of these the outros because we're way over time.
Yep. Yeah, so it's just increasing average pledge count. I mean, that's really what it is. And it's throwing little stuff in there. Like what we did that was successful for us on our last campaign, we did the collector's box for Horus and Hell. It's literally just a box that has some of the artwork from it, from some of the covers, some of the interior pages, and you can throw your comic books in it. And we included a limited edition cover that's in it. And it's
cool.
an add-on only, $20, right? And it actually sold really well for us.
Wow. Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's just little stuff like that that keeps moving the needle forward.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Ben, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we got coming up. Before we go, I want everybody to know about your work that's coming up, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the other things that we got going.
Absolutely. So this is in pre-launch right now over at Kickstarter. It's the sequel to We Are Scarlet Twilight. It's called Cobalt Crisis. It is essentially if Crisis on Infinite Earths or Zero Hour had happened in the 1940s. So you have all that golden age adventure pulp style with your big continuity, sort of crossover event, epic tales. And I think I wanted to mention something Charlie had mentioned earlier about, because we're in indie comics, we can do whatever we want. We don't have to answer all these other people. They're kind of stakeholders in moving the world forward in their way. And one of the things that I was really on the fence about doing this project, and I kind of thought a good reason was that I could do one of these crossovers, but not have to worry about an editor saying, "Oh, by the way, you need to fix Hawkman's continuity somewhere in this story," and for some reason, Power Girl's pregnant, and work all that other crap in, because that even the classic crossovers, and I love them all, they have something in there that you can just tell they're like, "Oh God, I got to figure out this character too. I don't really want to do it," or they're trying to push some new line, and you got to work those guys in. So it's an opportunity, I think, that you can take in indie comics and say, "I'm going to make this and all that, do all that stuff." But I have a chance to do it where it completely focuses on the characters and the flow of this story and not anything else. So there's an opportunity to do stuff that's really cool and fun when you're out there on your own. So head over to Kickstarter. This one's on pre-launch. And if you're into that stuff, I think you'll dig it.
It's not on Kickstarter. It's on Zoop, dude. Come on. I'm a follower of this one. I even know that.
Oh, no, this one's on Kickstarter.
Is it?
This one's, yep.
Because I'm following the Zoop. So what am I doing? I'm like, am I smoking dope? Holy crap!
Smoking Zoop, dude.
I'll tell you more about that later.
I love you, brother.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. But it's on Kickstarter, so make sure you guys are following in on Kickstarter.
Because I just wrote a whole Substack, and I pointed you out, and I'm like, oh yeah, follow this on.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, but I pointed to your Zoop, and it's still it's worthless. So now my Substack's trash. Don't everybody follow me? Everybody unsubscribe. I'm done.
I appreciate it one way or the other.
See, that's what happens when you don't plan ahead and reach out to the people that you're going to mention, and you don't get the real information.
It's
just saying. Very, very cool. Yeah. So there's some other ones that we're going to talk about. Is right one. There's which one we're doing? Kaijus and Cowboys. Check out Kaijus and Cowboys. This is from our friend Matt Blair, and he's very, very cool. concept here. So make sure you guys are checking this one out. They're just about to hit goal. So check this one out. 66 backers, right? Is that what I'm looking at? And 9 days left. They're about to hit their goal. So this is actually doing really good for 66 backers and almost hitting their goal. It's moving right along. So check this one out. This is issue 4. You can get 1 through 4 and read this one out. This one reminds me of I have a really cool book here. I'm actually gonna pull it up because the artwork is very reminiscent to something that with Donnie Cakes did a while back called a Tomahawk, and really reminiscent of that stuff. So if you really like something like this artwork here that I'm holding in my hand, which I love, Kaijus and Cowboys is definitely something that you're gonna want to check out. So check that one out. What else we got? We have Zeta Galaxy Outlaws that is live right now. Not live, but it's gonna be going live soon. So you guys are gonna definitely want to hit all you gotta do is hit this one, click notify. I gotta tell you, this one is freaking badass. I happen to be working with Kenneth Laster on this one. He did Try Not to Die with Damien Becton, and they killed on that one, pun intended. And then that one it's freaking this one's gonna be set in the near future, where it's kind of like this conglomerate takes over, and there's a bounty hunter, but the lines are kind of blurred between what she needs to really make some decisions, so when she comes in contact with an outlaw. So very, very cool. Check this one out. Definitely like a if you like, Cowboy Bebop, westerns, space western, this is you're gonna be up your alley. What else do we got, man? We have a few more, right?
I want to pop in one thing though on that. Visually, I've seen some pages of this Joey shared with me. It is like Brian Stelfree's level good. The visuals are great. The designs are amazing. Kind of reminds me of Saga in some ways. This is going to be a really good comic.
Yeah, very cool. I love Kenneth Laster, and I love everybody that's a part of this book. We kind of got like a cool little group going on here, because I've been working with them on a couple of different books. I worked with them most of that team on Try Not to Die. I helped them do some of the work on that one. We did the inlay designs for that book. We're also going to be doing one with Damien Becton called Cinder Takes All. So I worked with them doing the inlay design for that one. We're going to be doing inlay design for this one as well. So make sure you guys are checking that out. It's gorgeous stuff. This one is like, literally, this is like, if you guys don't love it on Kickstarter, you guys are gonna go nuts for it in the direct market. Like, seriously, I'm gonna try to get this one in the direct market. So like, it's badass. What else we got, Ben?
We have Puff Puff Parrot.
Yes, this one is my favorite one, because look at that, we passed 420. Look at that. So if you guys are in, this is a really cool one, because this is Puff Puff Parent from our friend J. Michael Miller. It kind of follows Henry, who's a father and it says that he's a former Dare essay winner, and he is prescribed medical marijuana. But what's cool about this is kind of like a journey of, like, because he has some anxieties and stuff like that. He had this fear of like committing a sin, and he was prescribed medical marijuana, and so he's like, this is completely out of his character, but he becomes a better person, right? So who doesn't like, so weed made him better. So you're gonna listen, the weed's gonna make you guys better, and you guys better buy this comic book. This is a fantastic one. I had the chance to actually help. We both, Ben and I, had the chance to work on this cover here. This is an homage to the Chronic. This is Lane Lloyd's art, and Ben and I did some of the design work for this.
I cut out a shape. You did the work.
You put your hands on it. You worked on it, buddy. So there's really, really cool stuff. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Grab that Chronic cover. I don't get paid for it, but I will definitely love you even more if you have something of mine in your home. What else we got, Ben? Is that it? Is that the last one?
That's all I know about.
I think that might be it. I'm trying to rack my brain right now, see what else we got. I feel Smut is still live. Yes, Smut is live right now. Yes, let's talk about Smut. If you guys like some smut, check this one out. No, this is actually not a smutty comic book. I mean, it kind of is. There's sexual content in there, but this is a slice of life campaign where a woman is just kind of having troubles in the relationship, but she really wants to take a turn for the better and not just jump every man's bones that she comes in contact with or she dates. So
she's the worst.
Oh man, she's gorgeous and she's a trainer, a young woman, definitely gorgeous looking book. This is kind of same in the vein of like anime mixed with American comic style. Kind of like CJ Hudson's book last month, Tiny Island. They did a crossover so if you guys back to CJ Hudson's, back this one and you get crossover print. But yes, make sure you guys know that this is an NSFW, not safe for work book. So there is going to be some sexual content in this, but it's a really good looking book. It's chugging along there pretty well.
Yeah, sure is.
I think that's
also this Wells has put together some really good books. So again, this is kind of a departure from his usual. Like me, it's a departure from his usual stuff. I love Mechaton, and shoot, what else did he do?
Frankenstein is the one
that was the other one. So, really, really good creator, and just because he changed genres doesn't mean the quality drops, right? So, I would recommend if you back his other stuff and you're okay with NSFW stuff, grab Wells's Smut. I think it's gonna be really, really dope. I'm a backer, so let's rock. Follow the cool kids.
I think this might be one of his most successful campaigns too. So he's doing really well.
Yeah,
very cool. That's and this right here is an example of if you take care of your base and you make sure that you're always doing some amazing things, you can be successful, right? And each campaign that he's gone, he's grown, and so very good job for him. Very, very cool. That's all I got. I don't think we have anything else. I'm trying to remember in my head. I should have these written down, but I don't think we got anything else. If we do, I'm sorry, and I'll promote you guys tomorrow. Well, and I don't think I have anything else except for make sure you guys are following myself, Joey Gowers 1984. Ben, where can they find you?
You find me on Twitter at Benjamin W. Morse or on YouTube as Benjamin Morse, comic book artist.
Corey, where can they find you?
So I am Cory DLG everywhere. Twitter, everything.
And Charlie
McKelvey, pretty much everywhere. So it should be in my little title there at Charlie McKelvey. Follow me, find me. I'm pretty flexible. I'm all over the place. And frankly, if you don't just find me on TV somewhere. I don't know, but
yeah. If you guys don't know, he's an American Ninja Warrior. Alan, where can they find you?
Best place obviously to keep in touch with all the comic stuff. Follow us on our Substack at thetophatstudios.substack.com and just look us up on Kickstarter. We always have something going on.
Yes, please follow everybody on Kickstarter. That's going to be the best place you guys can find these things and fund these things. Find us on Kickstarter as well. We're under Geek Collective as well as Joey Galvez, because we will be doing some things there and back and forth. Archetypes. Here's a quick announcement with the Archetypes. Ben has been working on Archetypes, the layout and the design on the background. We're going to be doing some of the layouts for that and inserting those things. We do have an interview that I have to make sure that I am formatting and is edited properly, and I'm sending that over to Ben. We're gonna now begin to put in all of the other design elements that go with that, all the artwork and all that fun stuff like that, and that's gonna be finished very soon. We are still on track for that. Here is one thing I will let you guys know. I made a mistake and I ordered the trading cards literally the day that that Kickstarter released the funds, and because I moved, I'm an idiot, and it auto accepted my because I didn't change it in my phone. It accepted my old address, and now that damn thing is running around the city, and I'm just like, fuck. I'm sorry, cuss words. Because now it's probably going to be sent back to the place that it originated, and then I have to reorder them, and it's going to be a big nightmare. So I'm sorry that I messed up the trading card problem. That's my fault. So the trading cards are in the mail. I'm probably going to have to tell them to leave. I'm probably going to have to dip into my own money and reorder some so that they come to the proper one and cancel that order. It's a big nightmare. Sorry guys, I messed that up. But we will not mess up the comic books because we're gonna work with some print partners. And really, and like Charlie was talking about, we're going to get some really cool price breaks. That's going to really make this stuff. We're going to do some fun stuff and send you guys some really cool packages and stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Before we go, there is a time Gemini. Let's talk about Gemini mailers. We use Gemini mailers, and we got a really cool discount. And I'm gonna let you guys know that every time you guys use our code, it helps this podcast and helps us fund all these really cool things for like archetypes, right? So make sure you guys are going over to GeminiMailingSupply.com and using Geek Collective 10 at checkout and ordering you guys all the kinds of really cool supplies and getting some 10% off on that stuff. It really helps.
Can I speak as the voice of a backer? So 800 campaigns. I have gotten campaigns where folks have sent me books or just thrown into a firm or a photo mailer, and the books are bent and they're trashed. They didn't back them. They didn't board them. They didn't put them in a Gemini mailer. Stop doing that. It's worth the 80-something cents, $1 each. I will pay the $1 each. Put it on me as a backer. Protect my freaking books when you send them to me. Yes. Otherwise, I will never back from you again. I'm just saying that to everybody out there.
I don't know where Charlie lives, but his mailman hates him, and he's always getting seriously. He's always getting books that are damaged. If people do not put them in a Gemini, he can almost guarantee that his mailman like stomped on it twice. Seriously,
dude, I had a package arrive last week. A Post-it survived on a Gemini mailer. I kid you not. Go look at my Twitter feed. A Post-it survived from Michigan to Virginia.
That's funny.
On a Gemini mailer. Use the gosh darn mailers. They're worth the extra cost. Your backers will not care to pay an extra $1 to make sure that they get their crap properly. Don't shortchange your backers, period. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely. Thank you guys for that, and thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all of you guys. It's been amazing. I don't have anything else, man. You got anything else to talk about?
I have nothing else to add. No.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. I promise we won't go this long next week because these guys are a bunch of windbags. I love them all, but you guys are amazing. Alan, I'm looking at you, PhD. You're amazing. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Listen, congratulate Alan, guys. He doesn't like to talk about it, but he's a new daddy. So he's a very, very gorgeous child probably because of his wife, because look at him. I love you, Alan. Just kidding.
Well, no, I get it.
Thank you guys so much. Listen, I love all three of you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. This has been a lot of fun. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Take it easy, everybody. Have a great week.